Hello everybody, welcome back and thank you so very much. I hope you can all hear me. I cannot see you guys in the chat, unfortunately, so I am hoping that you can see pictures on there now. I hope that you can. I'm going to try and not ruin this by trying to find this on my YouTube channel, and then I'll know whether you're receiving this feed or not. Having a little bit of a problem at the moment with my internet. BT have cut through the lines, you know, as they do. So unfortunately, at the moment, we are not really getting a very good service. It's very choppy and it might cut out on us, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that that does not happen. So I'm just checking my live feeds now to make sure that you guys can see what I'm putting out there, because I've got quite a lot of evidence to show you tonight, some finds. Let me have a look. Let me see. I would like to apologise to everybody that came out yesterday to visit us on Cannock Chase. Oh, sorry about that. Damn adverts. That came out to meet us. I swear, I think a gremlin's moved in my house at the moment. Right, let's have a look. It came out to yeah, right. The screenshot's fine. Now I know that you're with me. So I'll start again. Yesterday, many people came out to Cannock on Saturday to find us, and unfortunately, they could not. And I think a little bit of the problem was that my husband is very new to driving. He only passed his test in May, and that's probably the biggest journey that he's done. We're not very clued up on the country. We've not travelled for years and years and years, and we're not very clued up on tech. So I think maybe that we've put the wrong postcode into the sat nav, because she kept taking us to Marquis Drive. No matter what I put in, we ended up at Marquis Drive. Now, in the end, we put lots of signs up in the hope that people would find us. And a couple of people phoned me. My iPhone died. It's been an absolute terrible week for tech. And I cannot apologise enough that if you took the time to come out and meet me on Saturday and I wasn't there, I will do my absolute utmost to make sure that the next meet in Buxton goes as smoothly as possible. I'll find one area that has one parking place so that we can all get on. I'll try and find a common or something like that where we can park up quite easily. I'm also going to, if you email me, it'll be on the 24th of August, by the way. If you email me before that date, I'll give you my phone number. And my husband has kindly agreed to give out his phone number. And a couple of the admins and team members have said that they're more than happy to give out their number. So people, if they can't get through to me, would be able to get through to someone that could come down to the car park and get them and bring them in. We, as I say, we put posters up, and the staff at the cafe took all of them down. So we actually ended up sat right next to the car park in the hopes that people would find us. And there was 4 or 5 of us there, as you can see on the day. And it was the cafe is just here, just behind here. So it was disheartening for me that you couldn't find me. And I know I've had 21 emails today alone from people that couldn't find us. And I'm absolutely distraught about that, I'll be honest. But I can only try better, and we can only get it better on the next occasion. As I said, Buxton, we are camping down there anyway. And a couple, we're on a site, a register site, and a couple of people are also going to pop onto that site on the night. But what I was thinking of doing, if I arrange the meet for about 1 o'clock, which gives people time to get there. And as I said, I'm going to try and find an area with a bit of common ground where we can park. We can get a little bit of a base camp set up, and then I'll do what I did at Cannock. I will bring with me every sighting in that area, and the more able-bodied can pop up and visit those sightings. And on the day, feel free to ask me anything. In all honesty, when I meet up with you guys, it's, to me, I'm meeting up with my friends, so I don't mind the odd question. You're not intruding or anything like that. It's absolutely fine. I would want to talk to somebody that I knew from YouTube and kind of check them out myself. So I understand it. I completely understand it. We're very new to this, me and Mark, and we don't have a whole lot of experience. As I say, and I think the M6 was just an absolute nightmare for the pair of us. So I can only apologise once again. But when we were down there, which is quite strange, I took down with me a list of sightings, 27 in all, and I will read them out in a minute for you so that you've not missed out on anything. But we stayed in a place called Cuckler in Kidderminster. Beautiful it was. We stayed at the Castle Gate campground. Now, if you're in for a bit of wild camping, but you like us, you want to keep the car quite close because I'm disabled, so the car enables Mark to nip me back and forwards to the loo. It was ideal. It was on a horse farm. It was absolutely beautiful, very haunted. And as we drove in, the farmer came down, obviously. I think it was about, I can't remember, I think it was about £15 for the pitch or something like that. That was all, just for, not each, just the one-off payment. And he was absolutely wonderful. He came down, gave us some firewood and some stones for the fire and everything, kind of left us to it. But he saw the sticker on my car because I've just made some BBR stickers in the hopes that put them on our cars and people will do what this farmer did. He asked me about it. So I explained to him that I was down there in Cannock on the hopes that I would be able to I was going out to the meet and I was going to try and have a chat with some of the farmers around the area and visit some of the sighting areas because we were there from the Thursday. And that's what we did. We did visit a lot of the sighting areas, and I'll go into that in a bit. But he said to me, as most people do, I find, well, so what are you doing at Cannock? So I said, well, in all honesty, I'm meeting up with some guys who are interested in the same kind of subjects that I'm interested in. And I'm hoping that we can get some new sightings. And he said, what do people see down there? And I said, well, lots of things really, everything from the Pigman, UFOs, spiritual phenomena, black-eyed kids, Slenderman, Dogman sightings. And that's when his ear pricked up. And he said, well, it's funny you should say that because I saw a really strange dog on my land about 4 years ago, up in the top fields when I've seen to the horses. He said it wasn't as big as a horse, but it was as big as a pony, but it had a greyhound type face to it. And he was more than happy to share it with me. And actually, he said to me, if you want to come down with your members and stay on the land and do a field day, that's be absolutely fine with me. So I thought, so that we don't have any mix-ups, I will book us in for next year. I'll ask him for a day where he doesn't have a lot of campers on and we can have the whole area to ourselves. I think we had to put a deposit down of £1.50. So I'm thinking if we book it for next summer, it gives everybody a chance to arrange the day, whether it's to take it off work, to get somebody to mind your pets or something like that. I can actually see the chat. It's popped up. That's very rare for me. So sorry for waffling there. But yeah, he's kindly offered us the field. We would have to pay because, like I say, we had to pay for the pitch anyway. But even if you didn't want to camp, you could come out for the day, meet us all. Like I say, I'll give out a list of the sightings in the areas. And there was quite a few members come out that have podcasts. One of them's in the chat now, actually. It's Lee from the Realm of the Supernatural podcast. And if you click those 3 dots next to Lee's name, it will take you to his channel because he covers all of the subjects that I cover. And he's also got an interest in the horned type of creatures that are mentioned, kind of sheep squatch, they would call them in America. In my accent, I'd say a satyr. Other people pronounce it differently. A sort of hooven dogman, as some people have described it, a very hairy creature, but with a set of horns. So if you're interested in things like that, get onto Lee's website and have a look. I will do some shouts and some highs later on at the end, but I know it drives people mad. But I can see you all in there. Susie, I have a report coming up just for you. And I think it's coming out this week, but I even give you a mention in it because it's one from Australia and it's never been out before. So that's one for you. So where do we get to? Yeah, so this wonderful guy has said, if you want to come and hold your meet down here on our field in Kidderminster, feel free to do it. So if you're up for that at any point, and feel free to change your mind, the worst that would happen would you lose your £1.50 deposit, and that's not the end of the world, is it? I will organise it all from my end, and you can just come down for a couple of hours or come and camp overnight with us. He said, not only about the dog, sorry, I was just having a cup of tea. Not only about the dog, he also mentioned that the gate, it's, as I say, it's old castle ground, so the old castle walls are still up. And he mentioned to me that when he stayed in the gatehouse, there was a residual haunting of a young girl that happened over and over and over at the same time every night. And he was now in the big farmhouse, and he had tenants in there, and the tenants are reporting the same phenomena. So if you're into your paranormal stuff, come on down for that. You know, do your EVP sessions, get all your kit out, and have a try that, because the land was amazing. And if you're into your UFO sight, the sky, I've never seen sky that clear, because obviously I'm from near Manchester and Bolton. There's a lot of light pollution. I'd never seen it that sky. I've never seen the plough or anything like that as clearly as that. It was like looking through a telescope for us. So even if you're in for that, just come on down and have a brew and a chat and join in. So that gets me to, obviously, this guys at Cannock. So I do have some print finds for you, and I am going to go through this album as I'm speaking later on. But for now, I would like to, for everybody that turned out to meet us and didn't get to see us on the day, I would like to share with you a document, and I'm more than happy to post it out to you if you like. Or if you've got access to a printer, just let me know in email, and I'll send you over the printable link. I see Northern Nightmare. I'm not going to tell you about Northern Nightmare, any strange noises. I might let him. Am I allowed to speak about it? Can you let me know? And I'll tell him a little bit. Because he actually camped over at Cannock this weekend. Is he there? He's only smiling at me. I don't know whether that's a yes or a no, lad. But let's say his face changed a little when I explained that oh, that's brilliant. He actually camped over for 3 nights. And I'm not going to go into great detail. I'm just going to go that he did hear some strange noises. And he said to us on the day that then he realised, obviously, that it would have been the apes at the Go Ape Centre. And then I had to explain that there aren't any apes at the Go Ape Centre. It's just for children to act like apes and grow and run around, and there aren't any really, which is very interesting to me, as you can imagine. I don't know, Glenn. I'm not really sure, to be honest, but I will read these out to you now. Now, anyone who's into history will be very interested to know that the cavemen have been reported at Castle Ring since 500 BC. First written report is an AD 40, and it speaks of cavemen-like creatures that were there to protect the ring. Now, the ring, as I know, is an Iron Age structure commonly known as a hill fort or a barrow, depending on what part of the country you're in. And what they are really is, when we settled from being foragers to settling into groups and, little communities, we did so on these barrows, and they were, in most cases, ancient burial grounds or areas of incredible importance. And they would be normally within shouting distance or within sight of each other. And they run from the top of the UK, Scotland, all the way down to, it was how we warned, beacons and howls and all that kind of thing was how we warned each other. So the chase at the time would have been a massive forest, thick with deer, boar, many more species of deer than the 4 that we have now. The bone finds in the area suggest that there was a rampant amount of protein to be had. But the very first kind of written popular report, now you have to understand that in the olden days, I didn't understand this. I had to have it explained to me. My niece explained it to me because she's a language expert. In the olden days, as she said, you had to be incredibly rich to have a written diary or to even know how to read and write. And most of them paid a scholar of such. So it was around, I think it was the 1860s, and feel free to correct me, that something called when we started to print and the penny papers came out, it was incredibly popular. It would be like the World Wide Web for us today. There was anything that happened in a town anywhere that was exciting, it got printed out and it went all across the UK and Scotland and kept going and going. So people knew. And in 1879, the most celebrated sighting, as they call it, was when a carter was passing his way through the Shropshire Canal. And it was late one January night. And he was startled by a hulking, hairy shape that leapt out towards him. And he defended himself with his whip. And he found that the whip passed straight through him. When he reported it, when he got back home, he reported it to the police, and they actually said, "Oh, that's just the man monkey of Ranton." So even back then, it was known as that. Now, there is a later report, and I'll get that to you in a minute, because I'm going to do them in date order. So, as I say, the man monkey was seen again in 1980. So the snippet is he was seen by a gentleman who was on a barge on family holiday. And he described a huge, black, hairy monkey. But after the Shropshire Canal one, it was very quiet until around about the 1940s. Now, the 1940s was the first time the Pigman was seen around the Tower area. There have also been other sightings of the Pigman below the tower and in the woods surrounding it. Now, Claire had an encounter, and that hers is the latest encounter with a half man, half pig creature, as she described it. Now, she states, kneeling down in the dirt was what looked like a man. He was wearing trousers, a blazer, but no shirt, and his face was totally deformed. And I can almost certainly say that he had a snout. Now, keep in mind of that as I go through these date orderly. Right. 1993, we have a report at Castle Ring of pig noises. Whilst walking around the castle ring, myself and the wife heard some strange noises coming from the surrounding trees. Thinking it was likely to be a local couple enjoying an illicit liaison, we quickly moved away from the sound and headed back in the direction of our car. Upon reaching the steps down to the car park, I happened to turn around and lay my eyes on the strangest creature I have ever seen. This thing was 7 feet tall. From the neck down, it looked like a man, even wearing clothes, but its head was far too big for a human, and it had an elongated base with a snout-like nose. When I pointed it out to my wife, she became terrified. So we started walking more quickly towards our car and got inside. That's when we started to hear this thing. It had a really high-pitched, squealing, screaming noise that sounded like a pig being killed, and it really spooked us. Now, the Woodsieve Staff's upright bear was reported in 1943. And a gentleman reported that when he was evacuated during the war, he stayed with a family, and the father of the family reported a large hair-covered thing like an upright bear that had been seen walking menacingly through Woodsieve Staffs shortly after midnight. And all of these accounts are on the website in much greater detail, because obviously I'd have kept them there at Cannock for hours if I'd give it. Now, Steve's account, and I think it's from the late 70s, early 80s, he described his creature as a troglodyte looking thing. And he says, I was going out with a girl who lived not far away, and her brother and I were pretty close, and we would walk the dog sometimes and have a chat while we did so. And this was along the canal near Hayseed. Back then, we were in the Hayseed area, walking under the canal there, when the dogs we were walking started to act up. We were beside some thick bramble bushes, not the sort of thing you would expect someone to hide in, but that's exactly how the dog was reacting. I had a large torch with me, and I pointed it towards the bush. I hit the on switch, and it switched on fine. But every time I pointed it at that bush, the torch would go out. It really spooked us after a while, so we started to walk off down the path, trying not to look back. But after a while, I did look back, and I saw the weirdest thing. Where the bushes were, there was now a strange troglodyte-looking thing, just standing there, watching us. It had a really strange glow to it, almost as if it was emitting its own light somehow. We just left, but I have never forgotten that event. Now we move up now to the 80s and the wildman sighting in the summer of 1980 on Cannock Chase. And the witness says, I was over on Cannock Chase with a girlfriend about 25 years ago on a warm summer's night when she noticed something in the tree line watching us. When I turned on the car lights, it ran deeper into the trees. He was very big, and it did look as though he was slouched over as well. And I think he means like slouched over, leaning forward. The side of him, as I saw him through the trees, looked like a bodybuilder. I didn't hear anything on the night. Strange that not even when he moved through the trees. I never knew there were strange things happening over the chase until one of my friends mentioned it about a year ago. This happened to me close to the German cemetery at Cannock, and that will come up over and over again in these reports. Slitting Mill, which is just a little short walk from Cannock. In 1975, a young couple, Barry and Elaine, are returning from a Christmas party in the early morning with their 2 children asleep in the back seat. And they reported an encounter with 3 small, hairy boggart-like creatures. The best way I can describe them to you is like a hairy troll or something like that. Little thick-bodied hairy men that moved really fast across the road. We had some moonlight, so it was easy to see them, and they were like little men, but with hunchbacks and big hooked noses and not a stitch on them at all. Nothing covering the body, just hair all over them. Now that to me is a classic sign of a boggart, as they used to call them in the old days, little hairy man. Now, the creature with grey matted fur slams the car bonnet. Now that was in the 1980s. And a gentleman driving one evening in the car with his partner, they were on Camp Lane in Cannock, came across a huge hairy hyena-like beast up on 2 legs with grey matted fur. Now, he was driving along the road and he saw what he first thought was a dog. And as obviously he was getting closer, he realised that it was much bigger and it probably was a deer. But as he got even closer to it, he couldn't make out what it was. And he said it looked like a thickly muscled hyena. And he slowed, just thinking it was a dog, to kind of nudge it on. And it was when he tried to nudge it on that it stood up on 2 legs and it pressed down on the car bonnet, he said. Now, he had his girlfriend there with him at the time, so she was also a witness. And I actually spoke to him in depth. And he said they were absolutely terrified and they didn't know what to do. But luckily, an oncoming car coming behind, the lights hit the creature and it spooked it enough that it ran away. And it ran off into the woods there. But can you imagine that? It'd be absolutely terrifying, wouldn't it? Now, as you see in these images going past, these are the images in the BBR album, and I will go through them and speak about them in a minute, but I'm just giving you a little snapshot of them. So this was the last meet we had. That was in March when we had a BBR meet. So look, we all look like a little bit strange, but we're absolutely wonderful. Now, a large shambling creature was on the Cannock Rugeley Road in 1998, and Jackie Horton sparked a Bigfoot alert with a sighting in the early hours of February 18, 1995, on the Cannock Rugeley Road. Now, Jackie stated she was suddenly forced to swerve the car and narrowly avoided a collision with a large shambling creature that stepped into the road at a distance of about 20 feet away from her. Now, the encounter lasted barely a few seconds, but she had caught sight of an animal and said it was man-like and tall, very hairy, with 2 self-illuminating glowing eyes. Wherever Jackie saw it quickly vanished into the trees. These were actually found at Cannock Chase, these next lot of images. Very strange finds indeed. Now, there was a Panther alert on the chase, and it actually made the newspapers. That was on the 1st of September in 2005. And it was at the Enterprise Centre in Hensford, just near the Cannock Chase Museum. And it was a number of witnesses who worked at the Enterprise Centre that mentioned a large hulking beast. Now, many of the witnesses reported the sighting of a large black possible puma in the woods close to the Enterprise Centre, as I said. Warehouse worker Anthony Cooper, 42, said it was around lunchtime when it happened. A lot of people are saying they heard something like a growl, but I didn't. I heard a rustling noise in the bushes. As soon as I turned my head, I could see something in the trees. A large black shape moving slowly. It was acting as if it couldn't even see me. It was just strolling past, keeping at a distance of about 10 feet away. It then went into some thicker bushes and was gone. I called some more people over, but as I did, they ran over telling me what they had just seen also. And it was a very eerie feeling for us all. Now, on the 30th, this is exact, on the 30th of June, 06, we have the beast of Cannock Chase is back, and that's another newspaper report. On the hard shoulder, motorists at junction 10A of the M6 near Cannock jammed highway agency helplines on Wednesday morning with reports of a wolf-like creature racing between lanes at rush hour. Motorists looked up in disbelief as the 3-foot-long creature, described as greyish black, raced between the lanes. Let me just find me. I've lost my spot. Race between the lanes. It was this is the Bigfoot sample that I always talk about, the hair sample that was sent, and I'll explain a little bit more about it later. This was Glenn actually camping at Cannock, the brave soul. Heard some very strange screams at the night, and wondered if we had any researchers left on there, but we didn't. But getting back to that report, he says this thing was the shape of a human, but stood about 7 to 8 feet tall. As soon as it realised we'd seen it, it stood up and straight and ran towards us. Have I got the right one? No, I haven't. Deborah. Right. Highways agency staff joined motorway police to hunt for the creature and later stated the beast was likely to be a husky dog. But a spokesperson at Saga Radio, whose Eye in the Sky traffic reports were first to clock the event, said highway staff said that it was probably a husky dog. Everyone who saw it is convinced it was something much more than a domestic dog. Now, in 2006, again, this thing was the shape of a human, but stood about 7 to 8 feet tall. Now, a sighting was reported by a local resident who described being chased by a terrifying beast whilst driving through Cannock Chase at 2 a.m. Now, this thing was the shape of a human, but stood about 7 to 8 feet tall. As soon as it realised we'd seen it, it stood up straight and ran towards us. Now, this thing was definitely not human. It was huge. It wasn't just tall, but broad and stocky too. I don't know whether it was flying or jumping or what. I don't know how to describe the movement. Now, if we go over to Gentleshire, 2007, so only a year later, we have the Gentleshire hairy humanoid. Now, this was a small group of teenagers sitting in a car, spotted a hairy humanoid in the woodlands close by. Now, they drove up at speed, only to be pursued by the creature, even though it remained in the tree line. Now, people are always sceptical of the teenager reports, but I would like to point out that I was a teenager, and many of the witnesses were also teenagers. Sometimes teenagers are in places where other humans don't go because they're hiding out and they're up to no good, as I was. And that's kind of where creatures find you, in all honesty. But yeah, that was in 2007. Also in 2007, we have the Werewolves of Cannock Chase. Now, a paranormal group were brought in to investigate a number of sightings of werewolf-like creatures seen on the chase. Shocked residents who saw what they claimed to be a hairy wolf-type creature walking on its hind legs around the German War Cemetery, just off Camp Road, in between Stafford and Cannock. Several of the witnesses claimed the creature sprang up on its hind legs and ran into the nearby bushes when it was spotted. So these are not only is it's the same time of year, it's also a repeated behaviour. When they see humans, they tend to leg it off into the bushes. Now, in 2008, as I say, I can see your comments going by, but I can't read them because if I read them out, I can't do the things. But I will sit down after the live feed and go through them all. I promise. Large dark shape, 2008 on Cannock Chase. Now, a group of friends walking through the area in the early hours of the morning spotted a tall, dark figure, which quickly ducked down. One of the group approached it, only to hear it run off. It was walking back towards their car that two of the group heard a roar, which they believe sounded like a silver-backed gorilla. One person also reported red eyes glaring at them from the bushes. Now, also in 2008, the owner of the haunted Cannock pub calls for an investigation into the UFO activity in the area. Ghostly figures, floating orbs, and inexplicable temperature changes have been reported by staff and visitors to the pub. So if you're a paranormal team, that's probably a good place for you to do a night investigation. Parts of the pub date back to the 1600s. And the landlord said, I've experienced many things at the pub which cannot be explained. It is notoriously paranormal and renowned around here for being haunted. Paul believes the unexplained going on could be linked to the death of the former landlady in 1969. But locals believe the pub's proximity to the Iron Age hill fort, Castle Ring, could be the real reason for the spate of paranormal activity. Now, I've found over the years that when the Dogman-like reports come in, there does seem to be a glaring pattern in the fact that they tend to be around ancient cemeteries, modern ones, ancient barrows, any kind of site that was ancient to us to do with a burial or death that has either been built upon or disturbed and damaged in some way. Now, I don't know why that is, but in every one of the Dogman encounters, you will find that Dark and Deep Dean, Drake Low Tunnels jump to mind instantly. It tends to be that from around about 1940, where we're building on these sites, the phenomenon starts to kick in. At Drake Law, when it was turned into the tunnels to hide the trains during the war, it was after that dog-headed men were sighted. Now, you could follow the route from these accounts to Drake Law quite easily, or all the way down to the South A&OB without a problem, in all honesty. I know my area much better, say from Follish to Bowland down. And when I was down in the country, it's exactly the same kind of setup. It's just miles and miles of fields and small woods and lots of foodstuffs. And we had pheasant around the tent last night. It'd have been a really easy meal. We could have just, whacked one on the head with a stick, but we didn't. But that's how easy it would be. For anyone who's interested in Isabella, these are Isabella's cherry whips that were left on her door in Scotland, if you remember. And there are no cherry trees in the area. Now, this is a photograph from Malton. I'm hoping I can enlarge it for you 1 second. Yeah, that's good. Oh, it's not much better, is it? You're taking note of the fence there and the wheelie bin. And this is the figure. And Claire was incredibly generous and did what all researchers should be doing and took a comparison shot. This is her husband stood next to said fence. So whatever is in that picture, and I have it, you feel free to get it from me if you want to do an analysis on anything like that. That is the actual figure there. Now, this is the same area that this hair sample came from that you're seeing now. It has a tapered end. It's never been cut. Under microscope, it doesn't seem to have a medulla, and it's sat there and it is waiting to be analysed. Now, what we didn't do at the time, we didn't realise back then that we kind of contaminated it. But we do have another hair sample from the northeast, and when I put my camera on in a bit, I'm going to get it out for you under you'll see it when I see it, because I've not even opened the envelope yet, and it was kindly sent by Stu, and it's from the northeast. But let's get back to Cannock. So in 2013, a number of young men who were avoiding having to attend a sporting event saw a strange human-like figure here on the chase. Our first thoughts were a person or an animal. That was what we were hearing. And all we could see was something large moving around. And this thing must have been about 10 to 15 meters away. I didn't exactly have time to measure it, he says, and I don't blame him. They don't hand you a frequently asked question sheet, believe me. I turned the car headlights and hazard lights on to see if I could see any more. This thing was the shape of a human, but stood about 7 to 8 feet tall, and it was hard to tell with it being dark and such a distance away. At first sight, it was crouching, not completely to the floor, but approximately halfway and facing directly at the car. It was so dark to see whether it was staring at us, but I'm guessing it was. As soon as it realised we had seen it, it stood up straight and it hesitated and ran towards us. Well, as you can imagine, I wasn't sticking around. This thing was definitely not human. It was huge. It wasn't just tall, but broad and stocky too. I haven't got a clue what its face was like, or its skin, or its fur, or whatever it had. It wasn't light enough to see. The Castle Ring Howls, 2013. A gentleman reportedly heard the distant sound of abnormal and unearthly howling coming from the surrounding damp and misty woodland. I think this is one of Nick Redfern's accounts. So loud was the noise that his dog immediately began to draw back and cower in fear. Mr. Chapman recalled that upon glancing into the shadowy trees, he saw two bright, fiendish yellow eyes glaring menacingly back at him. Now, this was enough to seriously spook Mr. C, and in his own words, he promptly ran like the wind. A little like myself. Cannock Chase, Wildman, August of 2015. So we're getting much nearer and much closer to our actual date. Now, there is an account coming up from a team that camp over at Cannock Chase, and it's Alan Bettridge. So if you want to get in touch with him, just let me know, and I will be there to do it. Now, as I say, I'm going to go through all these images with you because these are just some. People always say to me, what evidence finds have you got and things like that, and these are just the general ones that I picked out just for this live feed. There's a hell of a lot more, and I'll put them on the next live feed. Now, Cannock Chase Wildman 2015. I live near the Cannock Chase area. I had a real encounter with something strange. I was walking through the chase with my family, and they stopped and had something to eat. So I went for a little explore on my own. And as I came up by an area where there were lots of down trees, I saw something really strange out of the corner of my eye. I saw something that looked like a person in a Chewbacca costume from Star Wars. That's the only way I can describe it. He was just really bulky and big. Whatever it was, it stood still, like it had been frozen in time. So I shouted in a friendly voice, "What are you doing in a costume out here? Are you stupid?" The subject was about 250, say 300 feet away from me at this point. And as I shouted, it turned around and let off this growl that was like a lion's roar from inside its body. I stood frozen, thinking, it isn't a person in a suit. Just couldn't work it out. And as it turned its leg and went to move. You could see the back muscles expanding like a bodybuilder, and it began to run away. It wasn't coming to me, but running in the opposite direction. Whatever this thing was, it had patches of hair or fur missing on it, and it was missing on its back and on its right leg. I didn't want to chase it. It was huge, and now thinking back on it, I'm glad that I didn't. I know that it's its home, not mine, and it didn't do anything to hurt me. That day, when it ran off, and as it got just out of sight, I heard a loud crash. Now, this subject pushed a tree over like it was nothing, and I still cannot believe what I saw. It was a dark colour, like a brown, but when the sun hit it, there was like a reddishy brown colour to it, and you could see the muscles expanding when it moved. It had patches of hair missing, like I said, as if it had been caught on barbed wire or attacked in some way. But I don't know what would attack something that big. I was close enough to notice it had hair on top of its hands, and the skin was like a greyish white colour. It moved in a weird way. When it turned to look at me, it moved its head and shoulders at the same time, like it couldn't turn its head without turning its body somehow. I wasn't going to tell anyone, but it was just there in my mind, thinking if I told anyone, I would be put in a loony bin. How do I tell people about this and face the subject? And the fact that the subject growled and grunted as it walked away, I will never forget the sound that it made. Something in the trees, Slitting Mill, December 18. A gentleman wrote in and reported he had something following me last night, Friday the 21st of December 2018. I was at Slitting Mill at Cannock Chase, and I was walking on tarmac with grass either side, and it was parallel to the forest. It was approximately 10 metres behind me, but nothing was showing. I could clearly hear the footsteps behind me, and so could my dog. It persisted for several minutes, and the footsteps were clear. They were so clear and loud that when I stopped, which was several times, it would walk another step or two and then it would stop. I don't have bad fear, just a weird feeling. I have to say it was about 7:30 p.m. How are we doing in the chat there? Let me have a look. It does look like the little people, doesn't it? It really, really does. I'm sorry, I should keep scrolling with these images. The search for the Wolfman of Brockton. Now, a group of 3 teenagers who were stopping for a cigarette break on a popular gate car park near the village of Brockton, very close to Camp Lane, actually, a place that describes itself as the gateway to Cannock Chase. Witnesses, they witnessed the understandable, terrifying sight of what they describe as an oversized upright wolf rummaging through a litter bin. Luckily, they were at a distance of about 20 metres and the creature didn't even notice them as soon as it moved on. But the lads had been deeply affected by this nonetheless. These are the A signs that we find. Look at that one. That one was 2016, I think, in Scotland. And that one was 2017. A year to the day in Ireland, which is incredibly strange. This is one of the strangest ones I've ever seen, I've got to be honest. We see this sign quite a lot, and I'll go into it as I'm nattering in a bit and going through them. But we're nearly getting to the end of the Cannock Chase ones now, I promise. It was big and on all fours. A Cannock Chase creature was again seen in 2019, so this year. A researcher for BBR made this report. We walked for a few miles around the woods and came across a really densely packed wooded area, which we just had to have a look at. So we went in. About 20 feet, 30 feet inside the wood, we found an abandoned camp. And the tent was torn and there was rubbish bags around. We weren't sure what to make of it. So we left that wood and we had a few miles walk around. But on our way back, my friend stopped and he looked into the wood and said, "What was that?" I turned to him and saw his face quickly. I turned to where he was looking, but I didn't see nothing. So I asked him, "What did you see?" And he said, "I don't know, but it was big and on all fours." So me, being me, I went straight into the wood to try and see something, but I couldn't see anything. I did find bones on the floor when my friend said he saw this thing, and they looked like a young deer bones because of the size of its skull and a couple of the leg bones, but they look fresh. And since that day, me and my friends have been talking about it and what we saw that day. Now, this next report is also from 2019. And as I say, if you want to camp out on the chase, get in touch with me and I'll put you all in touch with each other and I'll put you in touch with Alan and get that sorted out because it's going to be next year before I can get back down there again. Or join and get your name on the map so you can email all the other things and get out there and have a look. You'll have a top day. So this report came in only a couple of weeks ago from the chase, and it's a strange figure captured at Cannock Chase. I haven't got the image at the moment. It is up on the video from where I've done it. There's Kaz. And if you just go and have a look at my latest Cannock Chase video, it's on there, and it's a blur image of what looks like a really strange creature with glowing eyes. And I'm a member of the paranormal team, and we often investigate out at Cannock Chase as our team are in the progress of carrying out a longitudinal study across the chase, which just means, like we do with the BBR reports, just over time watching one area for a very long time and seeing what anomalies are there. And as most Bigfoot researchers do when studying one set of woods over a number of seasons in the hopes of gathering evidence or spotting a pattern or an anomaly. Now, the study on this night was on the golf course at Cannock Chase, and it was the 25th of March, 2019. We were out doing our usual search when we experienced a series of wood knocks in the Milford Common area. Now, the wood knocks were followed by what sounded like a boulder or a tree stump being repeatedly slammed into the forest floor a number of times. A couple of the more sceptical members of our party later reported a large shape they were certain had crossed the path behind them. We have a return visit planned to this area soon, and we investigate as a team, and this will be our 8th investigation in the last year. Now, I can send you a link to the Facebook group if you want to get in touch with them, because they are looking for people to get out on the chase and have a look. The more research you've got, the more area you can cover. Now, our last investigation was spent at Castle Ring. an ancient hill dated as far back as 50 AD. We were slowly building a profile of the strange electromagnetic energy that seems to exist there in pockets. We have also experienced light anomalies too on a regular basis. And we have in the past passed these on to Nick Redburn. One member of our group has been investigating the area for several decades now. And we have also had a close encounter of a feline kind over towards a German cemetery, end of the chase one night. While my group moved further down the path away from the German cemetery, I heard movement 100 or so meters off to my right. I had a night vision scope with me, which is great for looking at things from a distance, but not great for taking pictures. Having said that, I snapped what I thought might have been a person moving. By this point, my group had walked on 30 meters ahead, and I was alone, and I didn't hang around. Now, I have to be honest, it's not the best picture in the world, she says. But interestingly, on the return journey, I didn't see anything similar that could account for this strange anomaly. So there was no stumps there, or bushes, or snaps, or anything like that. I also visited during the daytime with a friend to gauge a potential height of the said figure, which conservatively I put at around 7.5 feet. Now, many of our members here at BBR who do field research themselves know what it's like to be suddenly confronted by that wood knocking, coming from an area you know that's empty. Then comes the thud. Now, many of us experience it. When it first happens, it can keep some of us, myself included, away from the woods for a few days or weeks. And for some time, people don't ever venture in again. What or why this happens, I have no idea. I don't know, but it does. This kind of thump, as if God himself, in all honesty, is a bit angry and thumps the ground. I don't know any other way to put it. Now, as a lot of you know, there was a request under the Freedom of Information Act for any reports that were reported from 2000 in the Staffordshire area. So this is only from 2000 to 2014. And it was sent into the Central Disclosure Unit for Staffordshire Police. Now, they reported leopard accounts was 1,403 reported to them, puma 1,003, cat 17,093 reports of a large black skulking cat on Cannock Chase. Beast was reported 85 times. And if anyone wants a copy of this, just let me know and I will pop it. That is Jason's tree pusher there, and I'll obviously get around to that in a little bit. Now you're going to like this. Werewolf, 12. There have been 12 reports of an upright werewolf made to the police in Staffordshire over a 15-year period. 409 people also reported a wolf-like creature on Cannock Chase. And that brings me to the end of the Cannock Chase reports. And they're only the ones that we know of. There could be so many more out there that we don't know of. And that's why we have the team that we have. So I'm going to give you an update on reports that have come in. Now, if you email me, I'm really sorry. BT, in their wisdom, cut through my line. So we had a total blackout. And they said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll put you on fibre optic. And it's terrible. So 6 days in, they're still trying to fix it for me. It went on this evening about 8 p.m, which was incredibly lucky. But I'm not sure whether we're going to stay on or not, because it has splitted in and out over the week. So I'm going to do my absolute best. But we have 12 videos up and scheduled to go. So you'll get them anyway, regardless of, because that's what I do. I schedule them for over the months. So I want to have a read now with you about some of the sightings that have come in over the month. So I'm going to have to go back down to the bottom of the images. 1 second. Right. Now, the reporter that lives in Afton, Wales, who's seen the strange structures. If you remember, he was walking his dog and the dog was fascinated with something that was in that wood, and it actually put it itself away from danger, which is incredibly unusual. He's now reported what he describes as a leopard encounter. So it may be that that's what he's experiencing down there, but there was some very strange structures found. And leopards are not known for the structures. Now, there is a howl coming from this weekend, and I didn't put it on tonight because I need the permission of the researcher. and I didn't want to rush him into a decision. So I took an executive decision and found it fine. We'll leave that. When he says yeah, I will make a video and I'll pop it up because we want some analysis done on this howl. He plays the Sierra sound in his research area, and after a number of seconds you hear a howl, but it's very faint and you'll have to use earphones to hear it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug my speakers in if he gives me permission to share, and I'm going to get them as loud as I can, and I'm going to but if anyone knows a technique that will help me, let me know, please. And as I say, I'll go through all of these comments later because it saves them all for me. So if you want anything from me, write it down in the comments and I'll get right, probably quicker than emailing me, because I am months behind on my emails. And it's not that I don't want to do them, honest, it's not. It's just I'm one person and I can't. I've got so much going on health wise. But I will get my way through them, I promise, as and when I can. So as I say, that howl came in this weekend from Scotland and I was quite impressed with it, I'll be honest. Another account is from Shea in Guildford. And I haven't had a chance to open the email yet to get all of the details on it. But if you're interested in that area, get in touch with me, because tomorrow and the next day and the day after that, I'm going to try and get through all of my emails. Now, these footprints that you see here were found in Thornley, which is in Gibbside in the northeast. They look very Dogman-like to me, I'll be honest. But I am not an expert. I think I'm seeing deer there. I am seeing a couple of deer prints, but I haven't had time to analyse it. So if you would analyse it for me, that would be absolutely fantastic and would free me up for something else. So he has put on a comparison. I think that's a 10p piece to show the size. So it's bigger than my hand, but I'm not sure what it is. And he has took it from another angle, luckily, as you can see here. Now, I don't know if it's print upon print. I'm not really sure. But they are a BBR member, which means they're more than happy to chat with you about it and let you know where they found it and all of the above. So let's go right the way to the beginning. These are some of the footprint finds that we've had. And before you say, they don't look like the American ones, they don't. There's no mid-tarsal break and none of that in the UK. What we find is a very human foot that looks like it has never worn a shoe. Lots of movement in it, much bigger than your average male. And sometimes they can disappear within an hour. I've been in areas of like boggy, and that you'll see it in the photos, and I'm not bullshitting you. I have been in areas that are swampy and boggy, and I have found prints that were filling up with water, which means whatever it was only 20, 30 feet in front of me. And they're bigger than mine, I would say probably about 11 inches in diameter, but I can't be certain. But I have put a comparison object in there. So as you see, this was from Wales. This was from the River Irwell. This was from, say, the Bolton area. River Irwell again. Bolton area again. And I haven't just picked them out because they're my favourite places. It was just I wanted you to get a look at the prints, and there are more as I scroll down, I promise. This is what I call the pinwheel sign. Oh, Deborah, you've not finished your report. So you can do that in a minute. Right. I've been given a lead on the Cot Grove Bigfoot, so I'm going to chase that up at some point. I've got the researchers looking for it online for me now. So I think Cot Grove's Nottingham, if I'm right. Then we've got Luton Hoe, which is a large black creature. And he's, let me have a look. Yeah, large black. And the gentleman is a woodsman, so he's quite used to what's out there. So I haven't had time to get into the email and read all the details, hence that's why I'm not giving him you. I'd like to speak to him first before I come forward with anything. Another one is in St. Morgan in Cornwall. And this gentleman actually works on some of the shooting sites, and he reports a Bigfoot-like creature. And that only came in over the weekend, so I emailed him earlier when the Wi-Fi went on, my free Wi-Fi went on, and so obviously I've not had time to check back in yet. Then a gentleman got in touch with me, not too far away from me, towards the Ellesmere reports, and the reports on that side of the motorway, on the East Lancs, Winnick, as we call it, near Warrington. There is a report of these very strange skeletons that were found. So I've had a look in the last couple of hours, and I'm finding articles on it. So I sent them over to one of the other researchers. She's going to have a look at them for me. Now, Norfolk, we have Heverset, a saucer-eyed creature, and that's how we described it. A creature with saucer-like eyes. Now, one that's of interest to me that's only coming this week that can go in with the Cannock reports is from 2 years ago, and it's a report of a strange creature with glowing eyes near the Staffordshire Services. And when you're out there at the Staffordshire Services, it's just fields and woods, in all honesty. Would they, hypothetically, use the motorway verges in the same way that they think they adapt and overcome us? Because at night, the motorway verges would be ideal for crossing country quickly. Lots of arrow field, lots of food fields, stuff like that. Lots of rabbits, hares on the field, rats, all kind of stuff. Lots of protein amount, and lots of food that you can nick out of the farmer's field. So yeah, that was only 2 years ago on Staffordshire Services. So if you're a researcher from down that area or any of these areas, get in touch and I'll give you more details. Now, in the Delamere, which is not far from where we're going to have a meet in August, we have what was described as a donkey screaming. And that was the only way that he could describe the noise, which is incredibly interesting. And I've met up with Glenn, actually. Me, Kaz, and Darren went down to meet Glenn at the Delamere. And it was a nice place, big lake, lots of... we get off the tourist bit, off the Go 8 bit. The Go 8 centres now are being used to kind of raise money for the woods, for replanting and things like that. But they're an absolute nightmare because they attract so many visitors. So you have to get away from the Go 8 area if you can, if it's possible. And yeah, I think they use the roads and the railways and the old canals and everything to get around. I think once it's 9 p.m. and everyone's in watching X Factor, they can just go where they like. When you're moving on that M6 and it's dark, you can't see anything. Yeah, and it's just you're going that fast, aren't you? That you think, what was that? So it's incredibly hard. But he describes it moving in front of the car and having glowing eyes. And if I said that about Washington State, you would instantly say Bigfoot. So I'm incredibly grateful to those people that have written into me. I am doing everything I can to work through those reports. I really, really am. And I'll get back to you as soon and as quickly as I can, I promise. Now, let's go through these before I put my camera on. Right, this is what I always kind of class as, it is a beautiful place. I loved it down there. I've got to be honest, this weekend it was beautiful, Glenn. This sign comes up over and over. Now, these, if I remember rightly, are some are Yorkshire, some are Scotland, some are Wales, some are Ireland. This almost pinwheel type affair. I don't know what it is or why it is. It could be geocaches. It could be nothing to do with the Bigfoot people. But if you've got it in your area, just take a photo of it and send it in to me. And then if we ever can rule it out, we can just let it go and look for something else. It's a strange one. I think this is one of Mike's. I'm not really sure. You see the strange dark shape within it. If you look, there's two little eyes. Let's see if I can enlarge it. And almost a snout-like looking thing. You see here? And I don't know. I'm absolutely useless at this and at the analysis. I'm not Bigfoot Tony. I can't do it. These are some of the strange, what I call hoops or arches. Now, not the arches that are called by wind or rain. They're actually intricately pinned. And I wish that I could enlarge this one for you because it's so intricately pinned. This is one of Bigfoot Tony's old research shots that I highlighted the pin. It's amazing. And these are exactly the same. And if you look at this one, it's hooped. And this was Shropshire, Wales. I think this is a northeast. I can't really remember off the top of my head. But let's see if I can go through this way. It might be easier. This is one of Mike's from the Werewolf Journals. I'm not really sure what that is. Now, this is from Cloddymoss. Now, if I was looking for a shelter, I'd be looking for something like this because it's miles and miles away. There's hardly anybody goes there. The last that takes these is out at about 5 a.m. in the morning walking greyhounds, as you can say, and this disappeared overnight. So it was there 1 minute and gone the next. And I think that's, so obviously we're keeping that one until we can rule it out. These are just some of the things that have happened at my gifting site. So some of my old pictures are mixed up in all of this. This was sent in, and there is a comparison shot. I haven't got it at the moment, but I'll pull it out, and there was nothing or nobody there. Now, it could be a person. It could be a hoax. It could be a lot of things, but it does seem to show a person-like figure. This is one of Mike's as well. I'm hoping that. Yeah, if you want to see these, write into me email or comment in the comments, and I'll pop them over to you. Because anyone who's interested in photograph analysis is what I need, really, because I can't do that. I'm absolutely useless. This is a figure that Bigfoot Tony found in Wales, and it was at the bottom of this tree. Now, I can send anyone who wants the video, I can send it over to you. And you see the tree swaying. No other trees are moving, just this tree. And he wasn't filming that. He was filming the intricately twisted thing that I was talking about earlier. And he actually explains that in the video, so I can send that out to you. It's not a problem. It was in Elusive. Another one of these pinwheel designs. And they just pop up over and over again. Everywhere, really. Don't really know. Now, notice this A, because it's going to come up over and over again in your site. Some areas have lots of A's, and it could be natural fall. Yes, it could. Some areas have this pinwheel design. Others have Y's. I think this may be bushcraft, actually. To me, I would call bushcraft on that one. I think it's just an old bushcraft shelter that shits. But I'm not an expert, but I would say that that's an old bushcraft. It's very, very human, and everything's in a line and absolutely perfect. When you find shelters, they're normally interwoven with greenery, normally around rhododendrons, ivy, prickles, stuff that you wouldn't get into if you just pass it by and just leave it. Very natural looking shelters. Who's off? Night, Kaz. I hope I didn't miss you. I always get visitors at the wrong time. Same here, Kaz, same here. Thanks for coming out on Saturday. It was bloody lovely to see you, and I will catch up with you before we meet up in Buxton. And I'm going to ask if I can give your number out to a couple of people I trust, if you don't mind, so that we don't miss them again. That may be bushcraft. There's Kaz, as I'm speaking about her. That's I think that's in the latest, it's in it, Kaz, near the sighting areas up there, when she was having an explore. And if you want to come out with us or get out with us, just let me know, and I'll pop you on the members map, and every time we meet up I can let you know. And you can also email each other and meet up. Or you don't need me to make an arrangement, do you? You can all do it. You're all big grown lads. So yeah, just do that. That's Mike's again. That's the one I want analysis on. So that's me. You don't need to see that. White feathers. Anyone who knows me will know why they're important to me. This is the print I was talking about that filled in with water, and it's in a really swampy area. Kaz knows the area. It's right at the back on the backfields. It's on mining land, so you can't really build on it. There's not much you can do on there. It's really dangerous walking in all that stuff, because there's a lot of shafts, hidden shafts and things like that, and they've filled up with water over the years since the Pretoria pit shut where we live. But this filled up with water as me and my daughter were stood next to it. I'm a size 6, and as you can see, it's twice the length of my feet. And there was another one with it. I think I got that as well. These are just some of the gifts that have kind of been either fell on my doorstep, or I find on my doorstep. It's one of my pareidolia pictures. This is just a strange one. It might just be blur or tree, I'm not sure. But yeah, I see a mouth, a nose, and eyes. But, as I say, it could be pareidolia. So I live in Manchester. Where's somewhere near me I could go? Maybe somewhere that's had reports in the past. Will you email me? I'm just going to pop my email in now. Sorry. If you email me, John, I'll get you in somewhere. I'll just put my email address on for you. Because I have reports both sides of Manchester. My side, which is the west side of Manchester, down the Irwell route, and then kind of Lyme Park route, Alderley Edge kind of. So there's lots and lots of places, and I don't want you to give your area out online. What do I press here? There we go. So email me and I will let you know, and I'll find somewhere for you. And there's quite a few members in Manchester. So if you're interested in joining us, just let me know and I can pop you on the members map. Where's that done now? Oh, I can't see the chat at all now. It's just gone. There we go. It's gone Julie Lolly. Just a strange face there with the other prints on that day. Just really weird. We was walking along. We'd done that area once, but we hadn't walked in. We kind of gone this way across, if you get what I mean, down like that. And then I'd walked in and I'd come on these and then I was making my way out. And it was like, that was really strange because they just filled up incredibly quickly. And there was a lot of them and they went right across the swamp. And as you can see here, they've already filled with water while I was taking my photographs. So unless it was a person in front of me and I just didn't see him, that, believe it or not, that little hole there opens up into like this massive cave system. But I'm not brave enough to go down there. That's just me on my research area. It's been really, really early spring, I think, of 2017. That this is the strange thing. I often tell people that one of the first structures to be photographed in the UK was done by the police in Derbyshire in 1865. And there is, coming up in a minute, there is actually all three structures together, but it's very similar to this. And as you see, there's the holly and there's a road in. There's always holly and road around these. As you see, this is the one from 1890. And you see the stick placement. It is exactly the same as that found in Wales in 2018 and Northumberland in 2017. Now, if that's not an anomaly, I do not know what one is. Hiya, Mark. Mark's just bringing me a brew. Hey, Joe, sorry I'm late to the party. Did you speak to the gameskeeper from Loch Lomond? No, not as I know of. I've not been able to get hold of anyone. My internet went down, Andy, on Tuesday, and it's only just gone back on today. But it's on my list of things to do, and I will definitely will. And we'll try and work out about these Loch Lomond bears. And some people are saying that there was a private collection of bears at the time, but I'm not finding anything, in all honesty. But I'll keep digging until I do, and you keep digging your end if you can. And we'll get to so strange anomaly. This was photographed by the police after a number of reports of what was called the wildman of the peaks. And it was about 60 men set off after it, and they found this structure. And I just found it incredibly strange that we're also finding this structure all the way across the UK, and it's incredibly similar. This was one of the bone finds from Scotland when we were out there, similar. We found these next to the car, and they were old bleached bones, in all honesty. They were just old deer bones. I think that was Scotland as well. This was the shelter that I found at the back of my house. And when I went to look at it, it disappeared. It had gone. Me and Karen walked them fields. Oh, she walked everywhere looking for that. And we know that land at the back of our hand, and she couldn't find it. It just totally disappeared. These are the X's that people send into me, and I don't know what they are or what they mean. What I'd ask you to do is, can you photograph the bottoms? Because the bottoms might tell us why they're there. If it looks like it's been pulled out or pushed out with the wind, we can kind of account for it. If there's no hole that it's come from, then it's an anomaly because it means it's been placed there. Now, it still could be children or scouts or just people in the woods going about their daily business, but I don't walk around in the woods making X's. So it's just something of note. And we tend to find them in areas where there's good sign. So it's just one of the things we come across. And like I say, there's that really strange sign. And that'll pop up over and over again in different areas. And that's why I photographed it. That was Scotland, as I say, and you can see it's like a triangle, almost a tent, with a line in the middle. And then it popped up again in a completely, this was Shropshire, in all honesty, exactly the same sign. Yeah. And then we get this almost, I don't even know what to call this sign. It's like an X with a line across the top. Some people call it the tent sign. And you see it here, and it matches one of the early runes, in all honesty. And it also matches a number of the symbols on the Vinca language, which unfortunately has never been translated. Hi, Anja. I put the photographs up, and they look very Dogman-like to me, in all honesty. They're almost claw, huge footprint. So I'm hoping that somebody can have a look at them for you and try and do a little bit of... Yes, that's the one I'm going on about, Shane, from Haddon Reservoir. I'm not really sure. I've had that many come in this month. I am totally confused. I'm not, but I'll have a look. Will you email me or message me on Facebook and let me know? I've got mozzie bites everywhere. Don't talk to me about mozzie bites. If you rub a bit of pine on you, find a bit of a pine or spruce and rub that on you, that'll keep the mozzies off. But there wasn't any in our area this weekend. Myrtle's the same. If you can get some myrtle or wood green and rub it on you, it'll keep them away. If you don't know what them plants are, squeeze some lemon into some water and spray it on yourself. And they hate it. They can't stand lemon and they can't stand citronella. So they're just like natural bugs. But I just completely forgot me this weekend. It was horsefly heaven. So as you can see, these signs repeat over and over again. This is one of Jason's. One of, I can't say his name now. I better not do that. Scotland again. Now, these are a year apart. This is 2016. And that was 2017. Why or how, I don't know. I think it's rabbit fur. I think that's just natural foliage, to be honest. This was the deer leg that I talk about. When we went out to the Griffin Forest, and I had that really weird experience. I had to sit down on the log because, as most people know, my legs are crap. So I had to sit down on this log, and I heard something transperce me. And it was like logging trails. As you know, like on the logging trails, it's really steep between the trails. They're trying to transperce the hillside like a zigzag. So for anyone to be walking in that shale, I thought that was a bit strange, to be honest. But it was with 3 other guys. I sat on the log and they went off. So I just presumed it was one of them. And one of them was a bit of a prankster. So I just thought, he's just going to scare me. And I heard him go across the bottom and come up behind me, in all honesty. And I thought, he's going to jump out on me and scare me. And he came walking from the opposite direction. And it really spooked me. When we went out to the car, this was left with the bones, and you see there's still blood on it. It was snapped there, like twisted, completely fresh, no odor or anything like that. Could have been a dog. As you know, we've got to be skeptical, haven't we? Could have been a dog that had dropped it there, and there was a deer kill in the woods, and we didn't see it, and the guys didn't find it or whatever. But I just thought it was a really weird anomaly. Let me see what Angie's asking me. They were quite large. I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna do a website article with the printing and the explanation, and then I can pass it on to everyone if they want to have a look at it. I think that's the best thing I can do. And I'll pop it also, they've seen it on here, it's on the video, and I can pop it in a video of the area itself. So hopefully someone will be able to do a bit of analysis on it for us. This was the bleach bone that was originally at the car, as you saw in the dark. When we came out, it was light, and this had been left. And if you look, there's a very small pinwheel there. Just a strange anomaly. That's why I photographed it. That's us finding it. So as you can see, the torch is on. The camera was really good. It was, as we would say, like dusk. The gloamings, as they say in Scotland. It was coming up like, there's the damn thing again. And these were just the bone finds that we were finding as we were walking through. This is a deer leg that was hung up in Inverness. And it happens every August. And we don't know why. Always a different leg, obviously. And it just stays there in the trees till it rots and goes away. And we can't think why anyone would be doing that. That's another one of the deer legs in the tree from another year. There's a jawbone. That's a spine. And that's the back end of a sheep, believe it or not. Very strange. There's another one of the deer legs. As you can see, it's way up high in the tree. And it's just hanging there. And we have no understanding why. It could be a poacher. It could be kids. It could be a right sicko. It might be because the male deer has a scent gland in its leg, and it could be doing it to draw other females in. You know, for a poacher, that might be a trick that I don't know. But it's an anomaly. And if you find one like that in your area, because this hasn't only come up here, it come up in Puddleton, in Dorset, Cornwall, 2 areas of Scotland, and Shropshire. So they might be, I actually Googled deer legs in trees, and you'd be amazed. They come up all across the world, but nobody seems to know why. So obviously I keep these photographs just in case they are important. I received a photograph. Many people will have seen the video that I put out of these plaited grasses. And along with that, and I couldn't put it out, YouTube wouldn't let me, was a ewe. And her face had been completely peeled. Her skin. Nothing on the wool or and just the skin, the face had been completely, it was awful. And as I say, YouTube wouldn't let me put the video out, but if you want to see it, it's there. I think this is one of Mike's. Strange. You see Mike's foot there. I think Mike said he was in 11. That's quite a large indentation, a fresh indentation in the early morning. Let's have a look. Hello, Centaurus. I'm glad you're in. Oh, it tickles me, he does, with these videos. I really, really enjoy them. They don't have to make me laugh. I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to have a look in my notes to see why I've added that. This is the original, and this is the close-up. Now, it could be an anomaly. It could be an actual face. It could be somebody that's wild. But when you look, it is not there in the comparison. So wherever it was, it moved, and we can't say what it is. And I'm not even going to give you the area. I can't. It's not mine to give out. But once again, a very strange anomaly. Now, I have thousands of these. So each month, it's an artist's impression of the face, by the way. Very similar to what I would call pan or satyr. And I wonder if these are even horns, but they could be the branches or the limbs of the tree. We have to take that into account. So I think that's what that is. It's showing that there's nothing in that area. Now, when you think about it, there's nothing there, is there, compared to the other one? So each month, there he is. Let me just go back so you can see the comparison. Same branch. There's just nothing there. As the months go on and we do these, I will bring you every photograph that we've ever had in at BBR and get you as up to date as the Facebookers are. Because if you're not in the Facebook group, you're missing out on the images, and that's not fair because you're all doing your bit as members. So I'm going to do this once a month so that you can see them. That's his face again. And as you see, there's a comparison. So there's a branch. There's a branch. There's his face. You can see it there. And there's just nothing. There's nothing there. And I think that because he took the time to go out and take a comparison shot, that is interesting enough for us to save and put away for future reference, in all honesty. Right, let me get past these up here. Once again, this is one of, if anyone knows the Isabella stories, I need to update you on that, actually. Isabella lived on her own in a country estate up in Scotland, and I'm not going to say where. And she actually invited us up to meet her and to show us everything, and she was absolutely wonderful. And she found that these cherry things kept getting left on her doorstep, and there were no cherry trees in the area at all. So it was just a strange anomaly that happened along with the sighting. And she was actually out playing with the puppy when she saw what she described as a giant on the hill, completely hairy, your typical Sasquatch description, just watching her. One day she found a dead jackrabbit on the step. There were footsteps in the flower bed, all kinds of strange manner. And as most people know, it was an area where they were actually plucking the deer. So they'd hang the deer up when they'd culled them, and they'd pluck them at the same time. And unfortunately, she has been moved on from that property. Oh, thank you, Andrew. That's incredibly helpful. I will email you either later on tonight or in the morning, and we'll get that sorted. That'd be really helpful, in all honesty. As I was saying about Isabella, she has gone from the cottage. The landowner has cut everything down. He's put the deer fence back up. The orchard's gone. There's no rhododendrons, there's no pine trees, there's nothing. So we have got teams on either side of that area, and it's a secret area, we don't give it out, looking to try and pick up those signs, because they'd have to adapt, wouldn't they? They'd have to get down to that river somehow. So we're just hoping that we will pick up a sign of them eventually. And as I say, I've spoken about this before. This is in Yorkshire in Malton, and it's an area where people just poo-poo it and won't take any notice. But when you look at it on the map, it's the same as most of the sighting area. It's right on the edge of town, so there's no builds past it. There's a river, there's loads of streams, there's loads of food fields, and right next to where this plant is an area where they dump food. So like Morrison, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, that kind of thing. There's an actual bacon factory there as well. And the river's well stocked. So for people who say, oh, they don't come into urban areas, they might have to. We might have built on their land, and that might be the only way that they continue to get their food. And it's an ongoing all year round. We've had bangs on the wall. Stu Hill went down for us actually and met with the witness. She supplied a hair sample. I'm going to get to that in a moment. And as I say, it's, you know, just a normal area like most of us live. And this was the hair, and it was found after she had gifted. It was only out a little bit. And the backstory was that we were told that it was being sent off to Oxford Uni to be tested, and we were told that it had been tested and it was too old and too degraded to be tested. Well, we knew that was a lie instantly because it was only out there 2 hours. So we have it back now, so it's clearly not been tested. Back in its original packaging, so it will come up and contaminated because I've touched it, Stu's touched it, and Claire's touched it. Unfortunately, it was back in the day before I knew how to do forensics. So yeah, that's one of the hair samples, and I am going to open another one, as I said, live in a moment when we get to the end of the videos, because I'd like you to see it. It was been sent northeast, and I want to see what I see as I do it. So of the incredible arches that's been pinned, and what I would suggest that if you come up with anything like this in your area, go and have a look at this end. Is it pinned by tree fall? Because that can naturally happen. There is also a natural fungus that can grow against the mycelium that most trees use, and it causes a tree to bend. So there is that natural. So you want to be looking for any white deposits or like an orangey deposit, or a lot of mushrooms will tell you that this tree has probably bent because it is weak and sickly. But if it's been pinned very intricately at the end, take some photos of it. I want to see photos of this end so I can see that it's growing and it's in the ground and what's going on there. And this end, it's incredibly important for you to photograph the end of this, and you will probably find that this end, 9 times out of 10, will point to a water source, and that water source will not be very far away. We don't know why it happens. We just know that it occurs in, that was Shropshire, that one. Another strange one. Most people go bushcraft, but I suppose if you had a tap, or maybe it's had cross lashings and the debris fell away. We don't know. But this will seem to pop up in many people's research areas. And that's why I included it in the shots, because we're just not sure what they are or what they're for. Strange patterns like this. Look out for things like this when you're in the woods. Now, it could be kids. It could be someone like me who likes the wilderness, but it's not really something I do. It stands out. It's strange. And it's an anomaly. So, just photograph it and have a photograph around the area. You never know, you might catch something in your photographs. That's okay, Shane. If you can maybe ask him about it and get in touch with me, that's absolutely, that'd be awesome. But I know how busy you are. You're always out wild camping in the Peak District. I'm hoping you can join us when it's Buxton. It's 24th of August. But I'll let you know in more personally in Messenger. So you can hopefully he'll come out and meet us all. He's quite often out on his own in the peaks. I'm not sure why this one's been included, to be honest. I think it's to show the mycelium, the white fungus that you will find on some things that you think are anomalies. And if you're finding stuff like this, it's probably natural rot and you can just eliminate it. But if you're not sure, take the photograph anyway. I might be completely wrong, and I'm more than happy to eat crow. Let me have a look at this, why we included this. Now, this could be a like the other one. You could chuck a tarp on this and it'd be a, you know, a quick bivvy or something like that for the night. But I'm not seeing cut ends, I've seen snapped. And normally when people are making a bivvy, they're whacking it with a machete or something like that. And you see a lot of, I'm not seeing anything from the fire. I'm not seeing any stick bundles for warmth or anything like that. Oh, I know why I've included this one, I remember. Sometimes when you come across a structure and you take a photograph from this angle, it might be incredibly important from that angle and you just haven't realised, or from this angle and you just haven't realised. So take as many as you can. And if you can do a 360, do a 360. And you also want to stand at this structure and look out, because I have no idea what that is there. But taking a photograph of an area may show up an anomaly. Now, I'm going to say to people, can you have a look at this for me and tell me what this black shape is? It could be a stump. It could be something that's been burnt out. It could be a person, but it's very dark and it looks very muscular. So if you're into your analysis, let me know and I will pop this one over. I think that's in staffs, if you remember GP. I don't think you even know if you've ever noticed that, in all honesty. But that's very strange. That's why I saved this one, because that dark anomaly is very strange. And if you look right next to it, what have we got? But the roadie. Now, as you can see, this is probably early spring, I would imagine, really early spring, just after winter, because there's not much ground cover coming through. You've only just got like your winter stuff, like your ivy and stuff like that. So I'm really interested in anyone that can have a look at this for me. Is it our GPE? Oh, hello, Daniela. How are you doing? Well, I hope. I'm going to try, hopefully, try and get up to you at some point. Try and do a meet on a Sunday, because I know it's really hard for you on any other day. So I am thinking about it. I'm just trying to come up with a plan at the moment. I'd love to go to Slackhead again. It was lovely there, wasn't it? This is one of the GPEs. Strange bone rammed in a tree. That happens all the time. You see bones rammed in trees everywhere you go. You know, if you see something like that, take a photo of it, because it's a very strange anomaly. Yeah, and it's worth taking the photograph. Now, people often hear me speak about the Vinca language and they think, what does she mean? The Vinca language is the very first written language in Europe, and it's been found in cave systems throughout Europe. And many of the cave systems in the UK actually run to Romania and places like that. Now, it's never been deciphered, so nobody knows what any of them mean. But if you look at some of them, they are very, very similar to some of the signs that you guys are finding out there in the woods. And if you want a copy of this, just let me know and I'll pop it over to you. I think that even the A sign's on here somewhere. It's been that long since I've looked at it, I've forgotten all about it. Remember that sign that I showed you before that said look like a room? Well, it matches that one exactly. Now, we don't know what they mean. Nobody knows what they mean. And there are only so many shapes you can make with sticks, so we got to take that into account, haven't we? But it just interests me. There's a ladder sign that many other people find. It just interests me that many of these look like what we find when we are out in the woods. There's the tent one, and you might notice something in your wood, and there's the pinwheel, and you think, oh my lord, I never noticed that, but now it kind of makes sense. Just take some photos of it and save them. You don't know. Write down the date you saw him, what the season was. That might be important. And just keep hold of it for future reference. There's that damn sign again that I've just shown you on there. Now, these are not from the same area. These are from all across the UK. And as I say, they could be natural fall. We don't know, but it's worth noticing. Next one's our Glen, camping out in Cannock, if I'm right, in the spring, wasn't it? Just after we had the meet. I'm just waiting for it to catch up on YouTube. Yeah, there we go. The brave soul did a Northern nightmare and camped out there at night and heard a really weird scream next to the tent, if I remember rightly, Glenn. Woke up to snow as well. Me and Mark did a bit of glamping compared to what you were doing there. Now, excuse my nails on this one. I was creosoting. Well, I was holding the tub while Mark was creosoting, let's put it that way. And I'm the most clumsiest person in the world. So I had brown creosote hands for about 3 months. This is the hair sample that came in from Yorkshire. And this is me opening it. And I should have known at the time not to touch it with my damn hands and to use my tweezers. And I'm going to do that in a minute with this one. There's the hair sample itself. And as you can see, it's never been cut. Now, it could be a horse. But when I've looked at it under the microscope, it doesn't match the horse on Google, what it's showing me. And now it might be just that I don't know anything what I'm doing. Even if you're a vet or you've got any understanding, if you've got a horse, is that horsehair? Is it worth me holding on to? Because it's a very strange sample. It's kind of oily. And when you look at it under the microscope, there isn't that line running through it that you find in human. It does look like a human hair. It's really strange. But I don't know what it is. There it is again. So I put it up against, that's exactly as it was sent to me, and that's how it came back. So it's never been tested. That's never been in a lab. That's sat in somebody's drawer. It was a fraudster and a liar because they wanted to impress everybody with their doctorate at Oxford. I actually phoned Oxford. They'd never heard of the woman. She made claims that the FBI had walked her through customs with grave samples from Colorado. It's utter bunkum. It's all made up, and she's an abject fantasist. But, you know, that's not for me to say, not mentioning any names. Alison Wilkinson. But yeah, she had us over for 10 months on that. And if that, I'll tell you why I've mentioned her. If that is a genuine sample, she has ruined that for us. Because how rare would it be to find an actual sample of a creature in the UK? Yeah, it would have been a 1 in a million find. And she left it there in her drawer because she wanted to big up how amazing she was. And to me, that is despicable, especially for someone who's put 37 years into the subject. I might have popped up on YouTube 2 years ago, but I've been working my ass off for 37 years. So for somebody to just do it on a whim, to me, is, I don't even understand people like that, in all honesty. So we'll leave that one behind. Another one. If you're finding snaps like this, have a look around and see if there's any matching them. If there's loads of them, it's probably wind damage. What interests me here is this lean, because if these have been put in, if we're going to class these as weather or anything like that, this should be in the opposite direction. This lean should be going that way. We often find these leans one after another. So when you find a lean like that, walk in that direction, and you 9 times out of 10 you will find another one sending you either in the same direction like the sat nav, or off in another direction. And once you find one, you find them continuously. This is the ladder sign that I talk about. It's almost 2 very long, always 2 very long ones, and it's these that change invariably. Now, this could be people stacking wood in the woods, I don't know, but if you're one of the researchers that has this H sign in your area, take as many photos of it as you can for me, please. And it just like I say, sometimes they'll have 8, 10, 12 like that. Sometimes it's 1. Some in up in Cloddy, it changed over a day. It varied, almost like a message board in a way. Some days it was 4 or 5, other days it was just the 1, and we just couldn't work it out. It could be geocaches. We don't know. We just don't know. So there's another example of it. So we just take the photo and keep it. Yeah, there's that consent sign again that pops up all the time. This would interest me. Now, to most people, they would walk past this as nothing. But in this, probably, I would imagine that this was taken very, very early spring, because all I'm seeing there is grasses. As this greenery kicks in, the ground cover will rise to about here. And if there's ivy or bramble, it will start to cover in this almost shelter type. And you would have a natural sheltered cover, much like you would have used as early man in the UK. Oh, I love mountain monsters. How they make it out alive is beyond me, but I absolutely love it. I know it's entertainment only, but oh, I absolutely love it. Another one of the arches, as I say, if you can, take some pictures of the very first part of the arch. This is a sycamore sapling, and this was pinned at the end. And this is one of Glenn's from Staffs, and it's just, if you can get some photos of that end for me, it might give me a better idea on how it's been done. But I had to learn all this at one point. You just don't, you see it. I don't even take photographs of them out in the woods now, because I just can't prove who's done it or what's done it. But for me, the witnesses are my speciality, if you get what I mean. There's lots of researchers who can tell you a hell of a lot more about the signs than I can, and I can always put you in touch with them. This is on Shoal Hill Common. Now, this is next to the Chase Shoal Hill Common, and there was a large canine reported there, if you remember. This is the reference. I would always ask you to put a reference object in, and that can give us an idea of how big this print is. If it is a print, we're not sure. We don't know. I think these are some of the stranger finds. This is a Chase. And as you see, there's an orb there. It's one of the old bunkers. And if you look here, there's 2, what look like 2 white eyes and 2 very dark ears. So I'm going to leave that on for a bit for you so you can have a really good look at it. Now, you remember I said the old bunkers, anything that's been built upon an ancient site, and we get these weird anomalies pop up and these dog-like creatures kind of thing pop up. This was an incredibly interesting photograph to me. And as I say, it was taken on Shoal Common. So even anomalies like that, pop them along, and you can pop them in this album. If you want to see this album yourself, just get in touch with me or comment underneath or on the thread, and I can just add you into it, and you can add your own and go through it at your leisure. You can comment here, you can ask me questions. Me and Glenn chat quite often through this. It's an easy way of doing it. You can show people your finds and they can give their opinions on them and say, oh, I've got something similar. Very strange anomaly at Cannock. But what I did notice was this is a woven blind. Now, to me, that would suggest human. It looks like one of those bamboo blinds that you'd have in the house, but would they use odds and end lying around? I don't know. But it is a series of bone finds, in all honesty, that have been put within that kind of shelter. That is an awful picture, the one coming up next. Are you ready for this? You're going to love this one. Anyone who doesn't like dolls, look away now. Yeah, lovely find that at Cannock Chase. Surrounded by sycamore there, but yeah, isn't that creepy? Next one, this is us at Cannock. There's Shane and Chris, Pete, David, Steve. There's Giles and Greg and Kaz and me. And there was a few other people there, obviously, at the time. And that was in early spring. And then we've just had the one now. Obviously, there's another one of them bloody signs. And these are just random. I just pulled them out for you weeks ago because I wanted you to see them. There's more of those pin signs. What they are or why they are, I don't know. Somebody said to me many, many years ago that they feel that these work like a cairn would work. And a cairn, for anybody who doesn't know, is as you pass along a mountain, you add a rock to a pile of stones, and over time it builds into a landmark of some kind so that you can follow those cairns back home. If the mist hits or you get lost, you follow the cairns because they always show you the route across the mountains, and early humans did it for millennia. Could these be something like that, as each one sticks a stick in as they go past? Because you can't see how it's natural, because it's all interwoven. And these are the ones that you find actually jam within the trees themselves. And these are the ones that you find on the ground. Now, I don't know what they are. But it could be that they're worth photographing. So, like I say, if you come up in your area, do that for me if you can. This one's absolutely fantastic. This is Shropshire. When you find this in your research area, I would say that you've probably got some kind of large predator mooching about. Now, whether that be a big cat or not, but poachers tend to take the carcass because that's where the meat is, and it's rare that they'll butcher it on site because you've got to get out of there quick. They'll disembowel it, obviously, so the meat doesn't spoil. But most people take it home and butcher it. So to find what I think is a deer skeleton on the ground like that is very strange. It could be dogs. It could be a pack of dogs. It could be a really evil human who's killed it for absolutely no reason. And it could be Boris pluck, if you get what I mean. So as John's saying there. But normally they take the carcass with them, don't they? And the meat, the poachers I know do anyway. They take the deer meat with them. Could be that. That is not the head to that skeleton, by the way. This is completely different. Same area though. And if I'd poached, I'd have the antlers. But not everyone's the same, are they? I get it. Everybody does it kind of differently. But it was just anomalies that I included for you. These are some of the intricate pins. Can you see that Y there? That's holding down that stick. And it's very similar to the shelter that me and Kaz found where we were. There was lots of these Ys pinning it down. And as the summer went along, all of this bush grew up and the ivy and the brambles, and it completely covered it in, and it was completely waterproof. And in the winter, it was quite warm in there, much warmer than outside. Oh, you don't want to watch that. It's me and Mark going to Rivington Pike. Pick the sightings up along there. There's another one of them. And this gets us to Cannock at the moment. This is Kev. That's my hubby, Mark. That's me. That's Pete. There's Kaz. There's Norbin. And there's Lynn. And as I say, this was the toilet block. So we were that close to the cafe. It was just really, really sad that people didn't find us. And I was really down about it yesterday, I'll be honest, because I felt like I'd let everybody down. But you don't want to see that. That's a bit boring, that one, isn't it? I think I saved that for Mark, to be honest. But that was us. We weren't, the car park was literally here. But they wouldn't let us put the signs up, and they wouldn't. I tried asking in the cafe if the woman in the cafe would tell people where we were, and they weren't up for that either. And it was really unhelpful, and just didn't want to know, in all honesty. And I was a bit weird about that, because up here, if I'd done it at, say, Clifton Country Park, it'd have been absolutely fine. I could have phoned him the day before, and they just said, "Oh, it's all right. As long as you take your rubbish home with you, it doesn't matter. It's fine." But it was a totally different attitude. But Kev said he knows somewhere where, a little further off than where we were, where there's a natural stream, and we can park there quite easily. So when we do the next Cannock one, that's probably where we're going to head. And I'm noticing now there's a strange mist around Pete on that one. I'll send him that photograph over later on. And that's basically what we did. We had a brew, and we had a natter. Lee went out and visited all the sighting areas. He was gone for a good few hours, and a number of other people who didn't find us on the day spent the day on the chase and went out and looked at the sighting areas. And I'd love to have been able to come with them. I really, really would have done. But we just did a general natter. There's my kit bag. About lots of subjects, not even just Bigfoot. We talked about lots and lots of things, personal experiences and stuff like that. So that gets us back to there. So 1 second, because I'm going to have to... Now, I'm going to put my camera on. Don't scream. Well, I only got back from camping today. So as you can imagine, I look a bit rough as anything. But I'm hoping, even in this horrible light, that you can see this. Oh, that's not good at all, is it? 1 second. Mark! I can't get my legs off the bed. Can you do the put the big light up on me while I do this hair sample? Oh, my poor husband and the stuff he has to put up with from me. I want to show him the hair sample on... Ah, that's much better. Thank you, sweetheart. Right. Let's have a look. And as you can see, it's not even open. I've not even opened it. So I'm going to use my tweezers, because I want to do this online with you guys. I've never actually looked at this, Stu, if you're there in the chat. I wanted the guys to see it at the same time that I saw it. Now, I'm going to save all these samples as forensically as I can, just in case we ever find somebody. Oh, wow. We ever find somebody that can look at them for us. Now, this is quite a large sample. Can you see that? Now that, let me get another set of tweezers. I see what it is. That's a plant-based fibre, as you can see. Let me get it right up there for you. This is the plant. And I'm going to turn it over in the hopes that you can see better. And the hair sample is that. Now let me see if I can open this without damaging anything. Let's have a look. I just don't want to touch it with my hands. Now, let me have a look. I'm just trying to see if I can get a strand off without doing any damage to the hair itself. Really sorry if it's boring for you. I'm low to ruin the sample. It's so tempting to like put your hand in there and, you know, just grab it. And this is how I would suggest that you did it now. This is done fantastic. I can't get in there to show you. But on that plant matter, there is a lot of black hair here. Where my tweezers are there. And here there's a knot of black hair. And it's wrapped, it's obviously got caught within the actual plant matter. Any better? No, I'll take some photographs with my camera. Let's give it a wrap up. Because you can actually see the hair in this area here, but I can't get it on camera for you. So I'll pull it back a bit then. It's right here, and it's wrapped all the way around here. Quite a large clump, and all the way around here. So I will put it back as we found it, as best I can, without touching it, and pop it back into the envelope. And when I finish the live feed, I will take some images for you, and if you want to see them, as I say, pop me an email over. Now, right, I'm going to have a read through the comments now, because I've not had a chance to do that while we've been live on air. And you all took the time to tune in, so I would like to say hi to you all. I can see a lot of my friends in there, Northern Nightmare, Chris. See, that's what I have to do. I have to put you on my mobile. I do have surgical gloves, Chris, and I will use them, believe me, and I'll tie my hair up and everything before I do it, because my hair's quite long and I don't want to, contaminate it. But I'm going to do the best that I can do. There's GPE, Northern Nightmare, Susie Q from Down Under, Centurious, Nightmare, again. Realm of the Supernatural, that's Lee. John G. Do they have boar in these areas or just deer? I'll have to double check, John. I don't think there's a lot of deer up on the northeast coast, but from Forester Bowling down this day. But I'd have to have a check. Let me keep scrolling. And I can't believe you've all tuned in. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'm hoping you'll all give me another chance. And there's Daniela. Nip out and meet us at Buxton if you can. There's Angie, Mighty Joe, Brown Dwarf, and Shane. And just give me another chance and meet me in Buxton if you can. I'm going to try and get us on like common ground so we can park. And it's really, really easy to park. Gary Maguire. I was wondering if it was a leopard stash, to be honest, or a cat stash or something like that, because it was up in the tree. The body was up in a tree. We do find them on the ground where, like with the big cat, well, it'll go in through the belly, doesn't it, or it goes in through the bum end. And you always kind of get that throttling marks on the neck. Well, we've had quite a few where the pluck's been taken, but the meat's been left behind, almost like sliced down the middle. And the pluck's been taken, and sometimes the tongue in the brain, and the rest of the meat's left behind and not touched. We've had lots and lots of them where the back two legs have gone, just completely gone. We had one farmer had 30 sheep penned in a pen that was for 6 sheep, and they'd gone in there within panic, and he had no idea what had panicked them in there. It could be a large dog or a cat or something like that, but it was a really strange setup. And they tend to find them all across the UK. You get down in Devon, you get so many. I think the national statistic last year was 15,000 big cats are reported every year in the UK. So it could be the big cats. But what they said was that they were classing them as cat kills or dog kills, and some of them were really strange. Just some of them just had the tongue missing and nothing else. And that was it. It was just, we find them everywhere, really. There's a lot of them down in Bempton. You get them on the northeast coast, where you get the old stinker reports. Because I'm just reading through these things now and I'm doing it. Luckily, YouTube save all these for me, so I'm going through them. When I'm going to take my meds in a minute, and I'm going to sit down and have a rest, because I'm absolutely shattered. And I know Mark's shattered. He's done a lot of driving, so I don't want to keep him up late. So there's Mr. Joel Hutchins. Hello, Joel. I'm glad you tuned in. I'm glad you found us. Dorian Gray. And as I say, I'm gonna sign up in a sec. So if you're interested in any of the meets, just email me or make a comment on the chat now, or when the video was live on YouTube, because in about 5 minutes I'll turn it off and then it'll go live on YouTube, and you can comment in the comments section. If you're interested in the photos and you want the link to that Google album, same thing, just get in touch. We have Facebook groups, we have Twitter. Twitter's easy, it's just hashtag BBR or hashtag BBR UK. People keep asking me about memberships and whether that £2.99 is ongoing. No, it's not. It's just a one-off payment, and all that is for is so that I can do the admin, print out and post out your papers, and after that it's free, completely free, and it's up to you whether you contact people or not, and it's also up to you whether you go out and do research or you just sit down and watch the videos. It's either or, whatever you want to do. As I say, there's loads and loads of new videos coming out, and I really could do with people in areas to get them out to these sighting places. If I can, I'd like to get people out who will have a look at the area, take some photographs, and there are a couple of witnesses who are more than happy to be interviewed. And that would be ace if we could get people down there and pick on them as quickly as we can. Not pick on them, you know what I mean. Get the information down as quickly as we can, because that's really important. And you'll also find when you're interviewing them that as the months go on or the weeks go on, they will either remember something that they hadn't thought about. They'll smell something, they'll hear something, they'll see something, and then they'll suddenly go, I didn't think. But when I think back on it now, I want to add this in. And it's really important for them to just have the one person that they talk to. We don't want to pass them around to people. So if you're up for that, that'd be fantastic, because that would free me up immensely. My hands are useless at the moment. I can't do any typing. I can't even hold my cup. I've dropped 3 iPhones in a week. That's how bad my hands are. So admin wise, I'm absolutely knackered. I'm getting to the end of me being able to do it. I think the audio is great. I can do it when I'm not ill. But yeah, so the plan being, let's get through as many of these sightings accounts as we can and get them out there. I asked a couple of the guys on Saturday if I was putting the videos out too often, and they said I wasn't. They wanted more of it, so I'll try and get them out a bit quicker for you. But if I'm annoying you and you don't want to watch the video, just don't watch it. I don't mind. Just go and watch something else. That's great. You can always watch it on a rainy day when you're bored. So for everyone that's in the chat and join me, thank you very, very much. I'm going to go now because my pain's cracking on. I can feel it. That's why I'm waffling. So I'll be around all week if I've got internet, up to BT, whether they fix my internet or not. But hopefully they will. And I will see you all next week. Enjoy the sightings that are coming out after this, and I'll have a chat to you all later. So thank you very much. Good night, everyone.